What's going on, fishy friends? Rich here, Rich's Fishes, and it's time for some more Friday night maintenance. Alright, so I'm down here in the fish room, restocking some of my cans of fish food. I actually just got a shipment in of some new food. I've talked about this before. These are the Australian blackworms that my discus love. This time I'm trying the spinach blackworms. There's some spinach added into the blackworm mix that supposedly is very good. There's a couple of different blackworm suppliers. There's California blackworm and Australian blackworm. As far as I know, those are really the two go-to sources, and Australian blackworms are imported by Al Sabata over at the Simply Discus forums, and I end up ordering them through him. I've been in contact with California blackworm, who have a very antiquated website, and it's very difficult to order. I had started emailing the guy that runs the show over there. I don't know what his name might be. So I was in touch with the guy from California blackworm, and like I said, his website is very antiquated. You can't really order direct from the website. You have to email him to place an order, and once you email him, he tells you to go to eBay and look for his products there. And I said to him, look, there's like 10 different things I might want to purchase from you. There's got to be a simpler way than doing 10 separate transactions on eBay. And I got a very lackluster response from the guy, which is really a shame, because that really sort of set the mood for the whole transaction. And honestly, I was just turned off by it in general. And I really wanted to buy live blackworms from him and give them a try in the fish room. And I still do want to do that, but the ordering process is just so difficult that it's turned me away. It's a lesson to anybody out there running a business. You know, first impressions are everything. And when you have a lackluster website, your response to an email better be on point. You better be jumping through hoops to actually seal the deal. So I'll probably order from him eventually, but I'm rather turned off by the whole beginning of the transaction here, and that's never a good start. So like I said, I got some new Australian blackworms. I'm over here going through my bucket of what's the majority of what's in here is Ken's Fish Tropical Flake. And then, like I've shown in the past, I go through and fill some of my old cans with stuff. And let's see, what else did I just get in the mail today? I got a big old package of this Discus Gold. This is like a German fish food that I've come to like. I had another little jar of that. And then also what I got from Aquatic Suppliers, which is Al Sabata's site, the Simply Discus guy, is blackworm pellets. I think this is a relatively new product of his. It's like 20% blackworm and then a whole lot of other something. The ingredients list sort of lists out what the ingredients are, but not in the same way that some other fish foods do. Where was I? Daddy Duty called. Those with kids will understand what I'm talking about. Those without, you can't even begin to imagine sometimes. So, I'm never gonna recapture my train of thought. Something about fish food, probably. Maybe these blackworm pellets. I know, I was over here looking at the Episto tank, saying that the ingredients list on that blackworm pellet is a little lackluster. You know, it sort of lists out what's in it, but it doesn't necessarily break it down as well as you might like. So we're over here now at the Epistogramma Hongsloy tank. There are at least 3 fry left in this tank, to my surprise. Last time I had updated this tank, I said I had only seen 1. Currently I only see 1, but as of yesterday, there was at least 3 hanging out over here. And it actually looked to me like this female was in the cave again yesterday, and the male was staying very close and she wasn't spooking him away. Where's the second female? Is that her? That might be the male. And of course now I don't see the fry bumping around anymore, but there's at least 2 or 3 fry left, which is pretty impressive, because I've really not done too much to guarantee the success of this spawn here. And this is where I think a tank that looks like this, that's full of mulm and debris, is really a huge benefit. Some people have commented that this gravel isn't necessarily the right kind of gravel to try to raise Epistogramma fry in, and they're probably right. But that doesn't mean it's impossible to do. And all of the stuff that gets collected down there provides some food sources for some of the fry. So there's one there. There's 2 up there. Let's see if I could find number 3 right here. They do tend to sort of stay to this corner of the tank. It's interesting, and I've heard similar theories about fish in the wild. People talk about how cruel it is sometimes to keep fish in a small glass box, but there's reason to believe, there's the second female, there's reason to believe that even fish in the wild sort of stay to a relatively small footprint in whatever body of water they might be in. It's like you and your house. Sure, you might venture away every once in a while, but in the grand scheme of things, you got the entire world at your fingertips, and yet you stay in a relatively small footprint of that world. It's the same thing for fish. Even in the wild, where they have, you know, miles and miles of river or ocean or lake or whatever body of water that they might live in, they tend to make a home and stay relatively close to that home. And I'm sort of seeing the same exact thing here in the Episto tank. The one female and the fry hang out very close to their home, which is this cave where they were born. Now that they're out of the cave and the fry are free swimming, they still stay very close to the cave. But now the females are going at it. I have a funny feeling one of them might be ready to breed, potentially again or for the first time. I'm not sure which. Of course, now we're not going to focus in while the females are kicking each other's butts. But they're both bright yellow, as if they're ready to spawn. And it's funny, the male kind of stays away and kind of lets them do what the heck they want to do. I know I keep saying it, but these juvie tiger turks, they're going to have to move soon. And I keep bouncing different ideas around in my head of where I'm going to move them and when, but it's going to have to happen. Should have already happened. I had a spawn in here the other day. I think I talked about that in the last video. There was some eggs on top of the coconut cave that I had in that back corner. I've since pulled that cave and threw another clay pot down there, hoping that the fish might spawn on that. And I've still got that one weird ram dragging his belly, parked over here. I don't know what's up. Somebody had mentioned to me that they had heard of German blue rams doing this where they drag their bellies, but I've yet to find anyone who can tell me that they know one that parks himself down like that on the floor. The belly dragging phenomena apparently has no cure and is not believed to be contagious. The other fish in this tank is looking fantastic still. Great colors, great size. I mean, it's been weeks and weeks and weeks that this fish has been sitting down here, and this other fish still seems okay, so obviously it doesn't seem to be contagious, whatever it is that's affecting him. That doesn't mean it's good, whatever the heck it is. What else did I want to talk about? So besides moving the tiger turk juvies, I'm also going to have to move the Rafflesia crosses. These are the crosses between the Rafflesias and the Penang eruptions. I'll probably move them over there with those red turks. And you know what? I think today is the day, guys. I am going to clean this tank. I'm going to scrub this glass and hopefully see my angelfish again. And my plan with this angel, which is a real beautiful angelfish, my plan with that angel is to move it over here into the tank with the other angels, where I had a spawn yesterday. They spawned on the filter tube there. You can see the remnants. Well, now that angelfish is in the way, if you could even see past the dirty glass and through the reflection of me. I believe it's that, we'll call it a koi angel. It's not a true koi, it's more yellow than any orange. I believe that koi and the black one that's back there that you probably can't even see through the reflection of the camera. Can you make him out there? It's a black angelfish against a black background. But they are aggressively hanging on to that corner of the tank, and I think they ate all the eggs already, though. I think the eggs were eaten very shortly after they were laid. But they are aggressively fighting all the other fish away. There's a couple of the other angels. There's a school of Remy-nosed tetra back there. It is so difficult to film this tank. There are, I don't even remember anymore, 6 angels total in this tank, and I'm going to add that one behind me in here too. now might not be the best time to add another fish, since there's the black one aggressively kicking everybody away from his corner of the tank again. And they're going back as if they're caring for eggs. Maybe I'm mistaken, but it sure does look to me like the eggs are gone. And, you know, there's sort of little dots left where the eggs had been before they got gobbled up. So maybe there are still a few viable eggs over there and I'm too stupid to realize. With my luck, it would be, because the angelfish are the fish that I'm not trying to breed. So of course they would be the ones that would breed for me. But yeah, I think that's going to be my goal, guys. I'm going to set up the tripod and start cleaning this tank, because I've been saying it forever and this thing's gross. What else? My dehumidifier. What do we at? 50% humidity in the room. I forget what I have the dehumidifier set to. 45%, 55%. That thing stayed off all winter. It basically turned on the last time in about November, and just the other day, what are we at? The middle of April, almost the end of April. It kicked on for the very first time, and I don't think it's turned off once yet. That thing, it's weird. You know, it reads, it gives you a digital readout of what the humidity is, and it does tend to match some of the other humidistats I have in the room. That one is also reading 50% humidity and 79 degrees right now. That's the cool side of the room in theory. 79 degrees in the room as well on that one. And what does it say? 91 degrees. What am I doing? 24% humidity over here. 45% humidity? I don't even think that's a humidistat. I don't even remember. Well, that one I don't pay too much attention to. This other one is the one that I typically pay attention to, which is reading just over 55% humidity and also about 79 degrees. So my point is that the digital readout on the dehumidifier seems to be relatively accurate. We're up to 55% now, which matches that other one I just read. It's accurate enough compared to these other not very accurate measuring devices, but still they all hover around the same spot. But it amazes me how even in the wintertime, well, not even in, but in the wintertime, that dehumidifier barely kicks on once. With all these tanks in here, with all the evaporation that happens in this room, it's still not enough humidity for the dehumidifier to bother turning on. Just goes to show you how dry it really gets in the wintertime, at least here in New York for me, versus how humid it can get in the summertime. I could easily see 75, 85, up to 95% humidity on that dehumidifier in the summer. My point is, once it actually decides that it's time for it to kick on, it pretty much doesn't kick off again until November. And it will kick off if it is able to bring the humidity low enough. And I got it set up to drain into my sump pump, and then the other line, once the sump pump turns on, drains right down there into my floor drain. And that's I forget how they rate these things. They rate them in pints per day, I believe. This is one of the larger ones that they make. I think it's 70 pints per day. Now that's not how much the unit can hold, that's how much the unit can pull out of the air in the day. And if you don't have it set up to a sump pump, you're stuck emptying the bucket every once in a while, and it can only pull out as much water as fast as you can empty the bucket. But now that I have it hooked up to the sump pump, that thing will drain, you know, the sump pump will kick on and empty the contents out of the dehumidifier 4 or 5 times a day easily in the summertime when the humidity is really, really cranking. All right, guys, so the Friday night maintenance is going to be the tank. Let me have at it. Alright guys, so the scrubbing is all done. Now I'm just going to wait for some of that mulm and algae and everything to sort of settle at the bottom, and then I will do a water change and vacuum it all out of the tank. All right, guys. So I think we're done. Looks like the fish might be a tiny bit stressed out. I was not paying too close attention to the temperature. I started a little too cold. Then I think I got a little too warm. There's a ton of micro bubbles in the tank right now. They're sticking to the fish. They're irritating his gills. All those tiny little bubbles are excess dissolved gases from the tap water. It takes a little while for the water to degas and sort of attain the correct level of oxygen, get rid of some excess nitrogen, excess carbon dioxide, and it looks like it's stressing the fish out a little bit. That's why he's kind of heading towards the surface, looking for a little bit of extra air. But with the 3 sponge filters bubbling away and the hang-on back filter that I actually remembered to plug in this time, who doesn't remember the last video with my wise tip of the day about how those things work better plugged in. But it's working. You can sort of see the flow coming out of the hang-on back there, rippling the surface. And what a difference in just a couple of minutes. All right, guys, comment, rate, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Thumbs up if you like what I'm doing. Thumbs down if you don't. And I will talk to you guys next time.